Hello all, Chris here. Just wanted to share a few thoughts and sounds about the Moog One. I've had it for about 2.5 weeks now. And I thought it might be helpful to some of you that are thinking about buying it, to get an owner's perspective on it, and share a few of the fun things that I've been creating on it. So anyways, I've been a little bit quiet for the last week. Moved it out of the studio here to my living room and just enjoyed it. Just sat and played it, made some sounds, and I've had a lot of fun with it. Well, let me give you a few thoughts about how I've been approaching or what I've been thinking about the Moog One. Right now it's on 1.0.1, so it's a second software update that it's had. And it's fixed a bunch of problems and having a few other issues with this software. Perhaps the biggest downfall right now is that it's just pretty buggy. And really, that doesn't worry me too much right now. It's not interrupting my workflow too much, except for the effects. But having good hardware, a good sound, a good raw sound of it, I'm not too worried about the bugs as they're going to be fixed. The UI has been so amazing. It's really intuitive to figure out. And you can see the kind of thought that they have put into designing it and programming it. Even the layout of the hardware is fantastic. So when it comes to some little operational things like bugs, I'm not too worried about it because that'll get fixed too, because they have the kind of they're headed in a direction. This is not all random stuff. It's all designed around making it a really usable experience and a very musical instrument. So the raw sound of it, I've just really enjoyed, exploring it and hearing it a little more naked than a lot of the presets or the demos has been really helpful to find out what this thing really does. So, some of the bugs that I'm experiencing right now, mind you, this is mid-November 2018, again, second software, and there's a little funny business going on. I think with the envelopes, they said there's a velocity thing, but I think there's something else going on with them too, like I'll be playing and sometimes it doesn't trigger the envelope, it just like gates in and out, and I don't know what that's about, but fan noise for me, not been a big deal. I guess it's going to be dropped here within the next few days by the next third software for it. So I don't really find that to be a problem for me. I know others have had more of a problem, but again, with the software updates, that should be probably taken care of. Since this new update, I haven't had any crashes, so that's been good. I've had a few hanging notes. With this software, I also have like a tuning problem with unison, and a couple of my patches that I made that utilizes unison, especially on the keyboard. Sometimes they sound great, and other times it gets kind of wacky out of tune. So I look forward to that being taken care of. And also, since the beginning, like compare, I've learned to save my stuff before I hit compare, because as I understand it, like when you're in a preset, you start, or you're saving something and you're changing things around and you want to compare it to what it originally sounded like, that preset, you hit compare. However, I found out the hard way that it takes you to another preset sometimes, so I'm always saving stuff right now. And the knob latency, let's try that again. Knob latency, I'm still having some issues with where you turn certain knobs and it takes maybe 500 milliseconds or so to catch up to your movement. Again, not too worried about it really because of the design that I have seen them put into it, and then also Moog has been really great about communicating, which a lot of companies just don't do well. And so to see their update videos, to have Amos talking about everything that's going on, the known bugs, what they're going to be working on next, for an owner has been really reassuring for me, and I just like and enjoy being a part of the process of that. So One of my big problem with it right now are the effects, and I submitted a report on that as far as like some funky stuff that's going on. I think it may be a bug or something to do with, you have the analog dry signal and then you engage the effect and it adds in the digital layer, which would be the modulated part of it, like for your chorus or phaser or whatever, or the delayed, signal. And I believe that's carrying some dry signal with it, but in digital, and there's perhaps some like phase cancellation issues or something to do with the mix on it, and then also not being able to get the wet signal to be even with the dry, which you need for effects like phalanging and chorus to have the maximum effect. So I hope that will be resolved soon, and maybe by the time you're watching this video, that's already taken care of. So actually with the effects, I haven't been using them a lot. I use a little bit of reverb or delay because I can kind of make it sound okay, and I plan on just going back and redoing it once the effects are fixed. My experience with the machine itself, there's a little bit of a learning curve, only in that there's so many things that are packed in here, and that's to me a bonus. I really like that you have so much variety, so many possibilities of where to go with the sound that it'll keep you creating for a long time. I think that becomes a problem for some people who want things to be real quick and real easy. This is not a Juno 106 where you can just sit down and in a few seconds, you've got some really lush pad going. I find that this takes a little bit more work. But that's because of all the options that you have. I mean, going down to the filters I've talked about before, I just really like that you can change how the slopes of the filters are, and all the mod destinations and LFOs and everything else that you can do with this. So it makes it quite versatile. And the sweet spots are in there, but you got to go hunting for them. It takes a little bit, I would say, for the first 2 weeks. I've enjoyed it, but has been a little bit slower getting to the enjoyment of it. Like once you find what you're looking for, it's like, oh man, that sounds great. I really like that mini-me lead I did in the other video, and very mini Moog like. And when you get to those places, they're fantastic. A really fun synthesizer for me is the Roland System 8. And you can have a lot of quick, easy fun with it. It's easy to dial in. It has a lot of options on it. And this takes a little bit more work, but I think as time goes on, what I've noticed, and even in the last, half a week or so, that I've been just sitting playing it, making patches, getting familiar with where are the places that I like to go with it. And they're going to be different for everybody. So the nice thing is that it has its, beautiful, raw, basic sound, but depending on the user, the overall, what you take away from it is going to probably be different because, I'm going to go into certain places that somebody else doesn't. And I've noticed that. I've checked out some friends' patches and, interesting and different, like went to different places than I went. And so it's kind of fun to see the same instrument be so versatile. Let's see here. What else I want to say about it before we get to some sounds? One of the hard things, or more difficult things for me, was getting to the pads and getting a really lush sounding pad out of it. Now, two of my other analogs are just incredible pad machines. The Juno 106 and the DSI OB6, and they're just incredible for that. And to get to those places, they're tuned for that kind of sound, and larger amount of their sounds fit into the sweet spot, which of course then makes them much less versatile, particularly the Juno. But the Juno has its sound and it's fantastic. So I'm finally getting to that place where I'm making some pad patches that I'm really enjoying. And some of it's, I want to go to some effects to do some interesting things with the stereo field, and when that gets fixed, I'll be able to do a little bit more. Also, a couple things that I hear. So yeah, it's set up to have a lot of headroom, but it is possible to dry the filters pretty good, and I'll show you that in a minute, without using any sort of post or actually external boosters or overdrives or anything. You can get it with the filters, and there's some more stuff that I didn't even do, but you can see that it gets kind of dirtied up if you're looking for that sound. And one of the things that has me kind of baffled is a talk online about it sounding like a DCO. And I can tell you, if you just sit and spend some time with it, like, it doesn't sound like a DCO. I have the Juno. That thing is just there all the time, perfect in its pitch. And even the OB6 is very tight in its tuning as well. And you can, detune it, slop it up, make it sound vintage. And I really like the algorithm that they're using on the OB6 to do that. I like it a little better than I like the detune function on here. Again, I'm talking about the very specific under polyphony pitch variance is what it's called. It seems to be a little bit more musical in the OB6, but the thing is, I haven't really felt the need to do a whole lot of it on the synthesizer, because the stock sounds really good, and you dial up some, you hit that second oscillator on from the init patch, and then it's got that beautiful phasing going on, and I really enjoy that. And, with the way that the oscillators are just always subtly moving, that I would never confuse this with the DCO. It is very rich and warm sounding. All right, so, hey, let me get into some sounds here, which I'll make a quick show of it here. So just some random stuff. Again, just like the last video, stay in the shot here. Last video, these are just sounds in process. I've really just started working on these and experimenting, and because you can do so much, I feel like these patches are going to take a lot of work to really fine-tune them to exactly what I want, because you have that option. You can do all these subtle things with a patch that, are just really beautiful. Anyway, so here's one, Alpine Meadow Melody. Moving on, this is one called Candy Harpsichord. And no effects on that, that's just the sound. So talking of pads, here's one called Contemplation. Been working on. Again, that's no effects. So here's a patch just playing around with the filter and getting a little bit of filter, just, overdrive. So when you hear it, it's using the interval generator with the state variable filter, and as you hear it sweep around, it's pushing different areas of the frequency spectrum into more overdrive. It's distorted all around, but it has a peak that really pushes it hard into the ladder filter. And if I turn off the interval generator, with with the combination of the two filters at a previous incarnation of the patch, I got this kind of boxy mid-range sound. That almost sounds like sometimes what we do with guitars to have a certain little focus that punches through a mix. Okay, next I'm going to pull up Key Lime, which is one of the factory presets, and actually is one of my favorite factory presets. Electric piano sound that's, you know, really gorgeous. And also Cool Piano Dude. It's a lot of just warm vibe. One thing that was kind of concerned with these patches, they're just so warm and rich sounding that they might not sit into the sit in the mix as well. So I set about to try to make one that sounds a little bit brighter. So I made a couple here in my experimentation. So I think Suit and Tie Guy did Cool Piano Dude, and I'm not sure who did Key Lime, but that one is just fantastic. And you're looking at the architecture of the patches, they're a lot different. So I thought I'd set out and see if I could make an electric piano sound that has even a different architecture and see what kind of sound I could get out of it. But my goal was to make it a little bit brighter. And I have a variation. And also, so doing an electric piano sound, I thought, well, you know, what would happen if I tried to do an acoustic piano sound? I've not really designed too much in the way of acoustic piano sounds on analog synthesizer, but I gave it a shot. So there it is. Let's see here. This is one I was making up last night, and see where I want to start here. So triple layer arpeggiators and filters and sample and hold and all a bunch of stuff going on in there. Here's another pad called Just One More Breath. Just has a little bit of delay to kind of move things around a little. Here's an inverted filter. And pulse width modulated pad. Here's a lead. The architecture isn't too much different than the other lead that I showed you. This has some hard sync and also a fifth kind of riding a little below the other oscillators. The filter is not on the envelope generator, but I'm actually controlling it with the mod wheel. Here's one that is called the Geometry of Waves, and was playing around with unusual wave shapes in the oscillators. A little bit of fun with the filters. This one's called The Underworld, and it was messing around with some like FM bass. Got a nice, like, solid bass punch. And gonna leave you with one last pad that I call Stargazing, and this is more of a dirty ambient, complex little things going on and mushing together. And let's see here. And there we have it. Final thought really is that you know, you can look at the specs on it and it's fantastic, and all the things and the usability of the UI and all that kind of stuff. But when it comes down to it, is it an instrument that has musicality? Does it inspire you to play? Does it inspire you to create music and new songs? And it's my opinion that it does that, and I'm really looking forward to spending a long time with this instrument and working on mastering it. But it's got so many surprises in here and such a rich tone that really not going to find any problems in spending a long time enjoying this. So anyways, until next time, hey, if you guys got some questions or anything, put them down in the comments. And I don't really like to spend a whole bunch of time saying like and subscribe and bells and all that kind of junk. So if you do, I appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.